Are you a rambler? If so, you are losing time, interest, and money. Today, we figure out how to stop rambling in your leadership and your communication.
Welcome to Advance with Mike Acker, the podcast designed to help entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professionals alike break through barriers by improving their practical leadership skills and increasing confidence in speaking. Your host is a best-selling author, executive coach, and founder of the Advance Public Speaking School and Advantage Publishing Group, two companies dedicated to providing an edge for leaders. Find out more about Mike at mikeacker.com. Now here's your host, Mike Acker.
Have you ever been listening to somebody and as they talk, all of a sudden they go off on a trail and they ramble and they completely lose you? We've all been there before. Someone's presenting and all of a sudden they have this idea and they pursue it and they pursue it and they pursue it. Today, I want to walk through 3 different types of rambling, then what you can do about it and how you can practice to get over your rambling. This is something I do in my coaching with people. I work directly with them so that they can stop rambling. But here, I want to show you the 3 different types and then really what to do about it and how you can work on it, whether it's with me or with someone else or on your own. Okay, 3 different types of rambling. Now, say for example, you want to go from here and you want to go all the way over here. Now, you might not go in a straight line, even with the most rehearsed script. You might not just stay exactly on track. In fact, that might be a little bit boring, but you're going to go from here to here and stay pretty close to your plan. For years, I would write out word for word the different content that I would want to get across in a speech. And when I would go back and listen to it, I would stay pretty darn close to what I was talking about. I would sometimes deviate a little bit, and sometimes I would have an idea and I'd chase it, but then I'd come back. But ultimately, I would get to where I wanted to go pretty much along that line. I even wrote a book about it called Right to Speak that really helps people do that. But many people don't go from here to here in a relatively straight line. They do one of 3 different types of rambling. So if you're listening to this and not just seeing it on the YouTube, then I'll try to portray it with words as well. So if you're going from point A to point B in a relatively straight line, there are 3 different types of rambling. The first one is where you get off track and you go out and then you just circle around and maybe you even come back to the track. But you're saying the same thing over and over again. So the first one is where you get off track slightly and then you go back around and you might even get back to track and say the same thing again and again. So really the first one is where you get off track a little bit and then you kind of get lost in your words and you keep on saying the things again and again and you're kind of hoping that maybe by saying it again you'll get back on track. And I see what I just did there. I modeled the type of rambling I'm talking about. It's almost where you feel like you haven't made your point, and so you need to circle back to it. And as a result, you go around and around and around. Sometimes getting back on track, sometimes running out of time, sometimes getting lost in another type of rambling. The second type of rambling is called meandering. So you're going down the track, you're on point A, maybe you're halfway to point B, and a fascinating idea catches your mind. Like, did you know coffee is God's gift to humanity? And I just want to talk about coffee right now. And all of a sudden you're talking about coffee and then that triggers another idea and you're just chasing the rabbit down all kinds of rabbit trails going way out and way far away from your track. And eventually you're thinking to yourself, I don't even know where I am. How do people know where I am if I don't know where I am? And you just get completely out there. And people are lost and people are losing interest. And that's one of the huge aspects of rambling is that you are losing the interest of people. You're not making the point you want to make and you're losing money as a result of it. So that's the second type where you just meander. And the third type is where you get off track, partly because maybe you didn't actually know where B was. You were going from A to B, but B was very vague. So as you start talking, you're building your case. In other words, you're making up your speech as you go. So imagine I came in today and I had no plan, no map, and I just started talking, and eventually I'm maybe saying some good things, maybe not, but I'm trying to build a case as I go. Now, I assure you, that's not what I did coming into this. Now, I write stuff down, I plan out from A to B, and then I allow some different flubs and different things to happen because I do a no edit, no cut, one shot show. But if you're talking to people on a regular basis, that you're leading a team or you're making a presentation or you're doing a speech and you're building it up as you go, one, you're not going to deliver the best content. Two, sometimes you're going to get off into meandering. Three, you're going to waste a lot of time that you should have invested beforehand. You might be thinking, well, I'm just wasting the same amount of time because it's helping me process. Except for you're also wasting all the time that you are using from other people. Now, these are three different types of rambling. This circular idea, this meandering all the way over here, and then building a case. Yes, you're getting somewhere, but along the way, you're wasting a lot of time. Now, just a little caveat on building a case as you go. There are times for verbal processing. However, when you do verbal processing, make sure you let people know what you're doing. Hey guys, I want to just invite you into this room, and I just want to speak, and thank you so much for giving me your time. I just want to process some thoughts out loud to you. But see, then you're letting them know that you may or may not get anywhere, and halfway through the point that you're trying to build, you might think, never mind. Thanks guys for the time. You can go back to doing whatever you're doing. I used to be in one of those meetings every single week with the leader of the organization, and he would process his thoughts and help really use us to help him get where he wanted to go. But it wasn't a to B speech or presentation or meeting, and we went in knowing that. The problem is a lot of the times people, and often it's the manager, the CEO, the VP, is using the time of the meeting or the time of the speech or the time of the board to formulate the ideas as they go. Ultimately, it's just rambling. So three different types. How do you get rid of this? The first thing is awareness. Really, awareness is so much part of us improving in every area. When I work with my clients, one of the things we do is we record the Zoom meeting or the in-person meeting so that they can go back and be aware of that which I already saw in them. It's why I go back and watch these so I can be aware if I'm moving my hands too much. One time I noticed after watching it, I was doing this a whole bunch. So that awareness helps us change. See, if I was over here and I was unaware that I was over here, I might not move. But because I can see myself, I can recenter and go, oh, okay, this is a better spot. Likewise, for your rambling, you need to be aware that you're doing it. Are you aware that you are building a case? Are you aware that you are meandering? Or are you aware that you just keep saying the same thing again and again and again? So awareness is the first step. Then the next step is pause. Once you're aware that you are rambling, pause. So say, for example, I'm giving a speech and I'm talking about how to stop rambling. And as I stop rambling, I all of a sudden remember a fascinating story that really doesn't have much to do with the topic. So I'm saying, one time I was out skateboarding and the moment I realize that I'm way off topic, here's what I do. I pause. A lot of times people keep on rambling because they're just on a roll and they don't stop. And they even know they're rambling, but they keep on rambling, especially if they're being circular. But the moment you are aware that you are rambling, pause. Now, this is the embarrassing part. A lot of people, once they do that, and even if they do pause, they just keep on going because they don't want to look bad. They don't want people to know that they saw what was happening there. It's like if I had a stain right there and I realize it, and now I'm just covering it up, pretending it's not there. Instead, just recognize that you meander. Don't make an excuse for it, but recognize and do something about it. So this is the third part, snap back to the track. So if I'm talking about rambling, I'm giving this talk, I get off on a tangent, and now I'm talking about some skateboarding incident when I was in my 20s. The moment I realize I'm rambling, I might say something, I was skateboarding. When it comes to rambling, see what I did there? as I went off on a tangent, I caught myself. I was aware that I was on a tangent. I was aware that I was wasting people's time and I wasn't being effective. I was aware of that rambling. And then I caught myself, paused, and snapped back. So that's how you stop rambling. You come to an awareness, you pause, you snap back. Now, there is a fourth part to this, and it's coming up with a simple plan for what you're talking about. Often when I listen to people and they're giving their presentations or their speeches or their updates or their reports, or among the many different types of communication I listen to in my coaching sessions, I will hear someone, and as they're talking to me, you know what? they don't have a plan. And the reason why they're rambling is because they don't have a plan. So you need a plan that you can remember, because often what happens is you get off track, but you didn't really know what part of the track you were on. So you don't even know you're rambling because you didn't have a plan to begin with. So make sure you have a plan when you go into any type of communication. Now, how can you work on this? So you're thinking, Mike, that's great. I am a rambler. I don't actually personally notice it, but if somebody told me, great, they're bringing awareness. Now make sure you're starting to be aware of what they say. So how do I do something about this, Mike? The first thing, there's three things I'm going to give you here. The first thing you need to do to get rid of rambling is realize that it's a really, really, really big deal. Absolutely. So you come into a YouTube, you come into a training video like this. My clients come in to work with me in a 50-minute session. And guess what? They're hoping that I stay on track. And they spent money on a session. You're spending time doing this. And you don't want me just randomly going off and talking about, I don't know, a skateboard incident from the 20s, for my 20s, not the 20s, my 20s. I guess we're now in the 20s. That's a rambling moment right now. Snap back. You don't want me to do that because I waste your time. I waste your energy. I waste your mental aptitude to keep track of everything I'm doing. I, as a communicator, need to tell you where we are on the track so that you can decide whether you want to keep on listening, decide whether to take notes, decide whether this is relevant and valuable to you. If you wanted to listen to a rambler, you would go watch all of the very silly, ridiculous YouTube stuff out there that people are doing, or TikTok. That'd be for entertainment, and you would do it for the purpose of being entertained. You don't want to listen to a rambler, therefore you need to know that rambling is a big deal, and there's a lot of wasted money through time hours that people are giving to rambling. I've said this in different workshops I've been part of, but as I've gotten a chance to audit different meetings, I will hear people waste the time. Now think about this. If you're paying someone, let's just choose $100,000 a year, then that comes down to about $50 an hour throughout the year, $50 an hour. So if you call people into a meeting and you have 10 people in the room with you, and you waste out of that hour, you waste on a regular basis, you're wasting 15 minutes. Well, if you have that meeting 4 times a month, that's 1 hour that you wasted. Multiply by the amount of people who are in the room. Now you're wasting a lot of money through the course of the year. One thing I did with a company recently was audit their meetings to see how much time they're wasting, because out of their 1,000+ employees, they're wasting 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 40 minutes here. And that adds up to mean a lot of money that could have been in productive hours. See, your rambling really, really matters. And for you to work on getting over your rambling, you got to realize that it matters. So what's the second thing you can do? You can work on it. Work on it with a coach. So as you're giving a presentation, as you're going through the meeting agenda or the report or the update, whatever it might be that you're going through, you are getting that feedback from them. Now, that might be someone like me who does this professionally, or it might be your boss, it might be your assistant, it might be an employee, a coworker, your spouse, your kids. Your kids would probably be brutal with this. If you have teenagers, they'd be like, yeah, Dad, you're rambling. Yeah, Mom, you're absolutely going all over the place. But you need that feedback of someone saying, hey, where are you going with this? And even you getting away from looking at the notes and talking about it. See, if you just stay to the notes, of course, you can not ramble because you're just reading notes. But get off notes, speak, talk it out. You know it, you wrote it, talk it out, and just make sure and get caught that you're not rambling. Do it with me, do it with somebody else, do it with your kids, do it with somebody, but not a dog. The third part that you can do to do this is to read a book. Now, I use a book as an example multiple times. So you grab a book here, you see my books proudly showcased right here. You can use a book, grab that, open it up, and then just start reading the book, and then pause at just random times and go off track, ramble on purpose. So you're read, and then go off track and talk about it extemporaneously and get lost for a moment, catch yourself, and come back to the text. And you're training yourself to come back to your train of thought that you were already at. Now, there's obviously more to that. I'd love to explore that with you in a coaching session. Or imagine what that would look like. Imagine you getting off track, purposefully rambling, catching yourself, pausing, and snapping back to where you were. The more you practice this, the more you'll develop the skill of you stopping the rambling that you do. Now, you didn't know this, but throughout this entire speech, there's been plenty of opportunities for me to ramble. And because of the awareness, I was able to pause even before I went on that tangent. In fact, one of the rambling things I was thinking about was this book over here, and I was going to talk about it. But that would really be rambling. It would get off track. It would not make the use of the time that I wanted to make the use of this time. And so I didn't do that. So rambling. Do you ramble? What type of rambling do you do? How do you stop the rambling? Be aware, pause, snap back, and then always come with a plan. And then how do you work on this? Well, first of all, be very aware that it is very important for you to stop rambling. 2, get some feedback from somebody, whether it's even just you recording yourself in a meeting and getting feedback from yourself. And 3rd, practice it with like a book where you ramble, you catch yourself, and come back. When you're in a meeting, there's never been a moment you're thinking to yourself, I wish that meeting could have gone further and further and longer and longer. Now, I guess if you're out with a friend or something, that kind of meeting, a social meeting. But generally a work meeting, you're not bummed if it gets cut short. So just because you have an allotted time that you need to speak doesn't mean you need to take it all up. It doesn't need to be taken all up. You can use that pause for yourself. You can use it for other productivity. You can use it anywhere. So stop rambling, stop wasting time, and get to the point, fast. Now, that's what I wanted to tell you about rambling. Let me pause and just say, if you like the show, take a moment, subscribe, share, maybe, I don't know, put a thumbs up, whatever it might be. Leave a comment. Would love to get connected with you. And of course, if you want to do some work together, always reach out to me. Would love to do some work with you and your company. See you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Advance with Mike Acker, a podcast designed to provide an edge for leaders through improving practical leadership skills and increasing confidence in speaking. Mike is a best-selling author and business owner who has helped many leaders increase their skills and their confidence, propelling them to new heights in their personal and professional endeavors. Join an incredible group of professionals taking the steps to become better leaders at connect.stepstoadvance.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.